to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, June 12th, City of East Ridge Housing Commission meeting. If we could get a roll call, please.
Chairperson Davis,
Yes.
Vice Chairperson Ezell,
Here.
Commissioner Lance. Here. Commissioner Sherrill,
Here.
Commissioner Souter.
Here.
Has everyone had an opportunity to review the minutes from the May 8th meeting? If so, if we could get a motion to approve the minutes.
Move they be approved as written.
Second.
Motion and a second.
Vice Chairperson Ezell,
Yes.
Commissioner Lance,
Yes.
Commissioner Sherrill,
Yes.
Commissioner Souter,
Yes.
Chairperson Davis.
Yes. At this time, is there any communications from the public? It's not regarding a case. Okay. Listen. The first item on our agenda tonight is new. It's 3602 Phelps Street. This was a fire that occurred. When did that occur? Hold on. Here it is. So the fire occurred on May 29th?
No. The fire actually occurred on the 9th, but I had no idea. Normally fire is really good about letting us know, when there has been a fire, especially this bad. And I don't really know, I guess just miscommunication between us and them. But a neighbor called me finally and told me about it, and I went out and was like, whoa, okay.
So, you're saying it happened, the fire happened in May? It looks like it happened 2 months ago. It's in pretty bad
I know.
shape.
Yeah, it was bad. It was a kitchen fire. That was the cause of it.
A lot of rain on it since then.
Yes, ma'am.
It looks to this, I mean, it's a total. I mean,
You had any communication with owners, or?
I haven't, the arson investigator, Jeff Duncan, he has, and he actually mentioned that apparently the owners did reach out to him, because I did get satisfied service with the, packet that I sent, and they called and asked about it, but they have yet to call me, so I'm not real sure. I do know that, as you can tell, it's sustained extensive fire damage, entire roofing system's gone, your windows, your walls. I would say that it is a, threat to life safety, just because I don't know if it's going to collapse now or in 2 weeks or when it's going to really happen. The fire report for the property loss, just the house itself, fire department listed at $100,000, and the property's only worth $119,000, so it's definitely got to go.
when something is this bad after the fire, and I mean, it does, it looks like it could collapse. Does the fire department not go ahead and have the city level it, just for a safety perspective?
I'm not 100% sure. I don't think we've ever
Not normally,
done
Not
that.
normally? Okay.
no. It'd be one that is, process would be like this, would be provided. We
Okay.
generally get notice from the fire department, and then we get this. They'll secure it, efforts will be to make sure that there's no entry, but not just an outright demolition.
Right, right,
It becomes an insurance issue at first,
Right.
right? Right.
okay.
So since it's been so long, are they still waiting on an insurance claim?
Guess as good as mine. I was hoping that they would have either A, been here or reached out to me, and I haven't heard anything. So,
You said you did have good service with them.
I got satisfied service, yes, sir.
This a rental?
I think it was a rental, yes, because the owners are.
Partnership.
Do I?
Yes, it's in a partnership.
And the address is not, the service address is not the physical
Correct.
address. Okay. I mean, there's really no way of securing the structure other than,
You can't get in like through the front doors. I know that they did have boards up. That does not mean that you couldn't go through the windows. I mean, if somebody's crazy enough, I don't know, but
Okay.
again, I don't know if it's because they're still waiting on insurance to come back and finalize everything so they can demo it. I'm not sure. I'm hoping, hopefully after we send out just notice like, hey, it's been to housing, that hopefully they'll call me and let me know what's going on.
What do you recommend in the meantime? Can we post it, or can we?
I say I can definitely put up a condemnation plaque, or we can condemn it. I don't want to make any moves on it just because this is the first appearance of it. And I guess more or less put them on notice to be here the next housing commission meeting to give us your next steps, because it does need to come down. This is a lot worse than my previous.
I think posting would be a good idea, just in case someone could potentially get in. I'm just thinking of, it's school's out, kids, that kind of thing. They don't read things anyway, but just as coverage. Okay. Any thoughts or motions on this one?
So, I guess posting it, I guess, as condemned and boarded up, shall we say, and that means that we'll be sending certified letters to these people to do what? Tell you they're waiting, or tell you that they're gonna take it down, or?
I'm hoping that when I send this out, saying with the order, showing that it is ordered, that that's gonna prompt them to reach out to me. And I think Mr. Litchford can also put it in that order that they need to reach out to us to let us know. Duncan works different. I don't really understand their schedule because they're on, they're off. I don't know. I'm gonna try to see when he's working again and get with him and see if he can point me in a direction to get contact with them. I don't know if he has their number, if they were on scene that day. I don't know for sure. But get with him too. If they don't get with me, then I'm gonna find a way to get with them.
What's the time frame that you normally see when you have a situation like this that the insurance company takes? I mean, this has been a month now. Normally, would you see, within 30 days, they have a dumpster there to start cleaning up or tearing down, or?
I feel like that's, so let's take it back to Greenbrier that we've had. I know that they were going back and forth for a minute on what they were gonna pay, what they weren't gonna pay, when to demo, et cetera. But I do know that they did have dumpsters out at one point trying to get some of that stuff out of there. So I can't really speak. I don't know how fast they move. I guess it depends on who you have too as a insurance adjuster, but
You had also said that the arson investigator is looking this, so could that potentially,
no, he's cleared it.
okay,
It's been
okay.
cleared.
I
They
didn't know
declared
if
it
maybe
just the
that was-
kitchen fire.
Okay.
You mentioned dumpsters, was that at Greenbrier or here at Key?
Greenbrier,
Okay.
yes, sir, yeah.
Okay, just making sure.
Any exposed wiring that you observed?
I know that EPB was sent out that same night and they dropped all power to the house, so.
So the only risk of getting in would be through a window, if someone were to. Okay.
It wouldn't be unreasonable to send the order and give them 30 days to answer, would it? Or the insurance company? The issue is securing it.
I agree. I've had one.
Was it insured?
I would say so, yes, but crazier things have happened, so
It's a rental property,
I would say yes.
I would think it
but-
would be, but
Is it already posted condemned?
No, I haven't, not until I got it in front of you guys.
I think due to the condition of the property that we shouldn't be stalling too long. So 30 days, make a move, would be my personal opinion.
Unless something comes up in one emergency hearing, do it quicker, if you get a hold of the people.
My hope is that they'll reach out to me when the order's sent to them within maybe a week or two after and say, hey, we understand, we've got somebody coming out and we don't even have to touch it. That's my hope.
That'd be nice. But I'd rather not see this at the end of my term, still on the docket.
When did you get satisfied service again?
green card is on my desk. I want to say not too long after I sent that.
Was it reasonable to say it's been 2 weeks?
Yeah, that they haven't.
So you would think within a 2-week time of getting their notice.
Right. Tell you. So June 3rd is when I talked to Duncan. Well, we'll say I probably talked to Jeff Duncan on the 31st of March, I think. Because I saw him out actually, and he brought it up to me that they contacted him, but they've yet to contact me.
The 31st of March.
May. Sorry. You know what I'm saying.
No, I was like, what, wait, hold on.
May.
I'm really confused.
I'm sorry.
At any rate, it's been 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Pretty much, yeah.
I'm with I'm with everyone else, that the order is fine. I would support the order as long as it states something about an accelerated movement, accelerated, we want to see something going on.
Agree.
So how long you gotta give them if you tell them you're gonna tear it down? Before you can tear it down?
Yeah.
30 days.
60 days is what I like, because they got that time period for
Well,
it.
that won't work.
So I seek
I figure if you put it in the wording, that they might speed up their pace. to get something
Exactly.
resolved.
well, what I always say is to say that,
If they don't take immediate action.
the city can hereby reserve the right to take efforts now.
Let me say this, if you all find that this poses significant danger,
From an emergency standpoint, I mean, this is, we don't know anything about potential collapsing. When you look at this picture, particularly the last one, what's the guarantee that stays up much longer?
Had a lot of storms and wind, and that's,
we're in storm season, so, I mean, you're about to see it pretty significant here, if we hadn't already, so,
And I mean, from the owner's perspective, I would think it would almost be doing them a favor, because this is a total loss. I mean, they could just move forward
It's
quicker
been
and have the
abandoned.
lien.
it's been abandoned from everything we can tell, it appears to have been.
Yeah, I mean, there's nobody there. Like I said, I don't know if they're waiting on insurance to decide what their next steps are. I don't know why they didn't reach out. I know that they know about it. I know that they know that they have the notice of it that I sent them, but
And for such a devastating fire, I don't see any furniture or any belongings. There's an aquarium.
of a couch or something in one of the pictures, but that's about all you can see.
I honestly really couldn't get too close to it just because
Okay.
they had it roped off
Well,
and
yeah.
boarded, and it
The
was
risk.
kind of difficult.
So,
I think some of the belongings fell to the floor.
And they probably did. I really just couldn't see it.
let me correct something with, Commissioner Ezell. Under 3-310, in cases where it reasonably appears that there is immediate danger to life, safety, or any persons unless a dwelling, a rooming house, which has been declared unfit for human habitation or is a dangerous building, is immediately repaired or demolished, the inspector shall place a condemnation sign thereupon the said building and shall immediately report such facts to the housing commissioner, which we've done here. Housing commissioners shall cause the immediate repair or demolition of such dwelling and the cost of the emergency repairs of it to be assessed against the lien on the land and the property. So, having said that, if this body finds, A, that it's unfit for human habitation and is a dangerous building, based upon the testimony that you've heard from Ms. Holder, then at that point, if the second you'd have to have a finding that this sufficiently satisfies 13-310 for emergency demolitions needs, and you can go ahead and institute demolition efforts, so it's not 60-day damage.
Sounds like the wording that could get their attention is to cite that regulation,
13
subject to an emergency demolition.
I do have a question for the commission and for you, sir. Have you run across this before in East Ridge, this situation before with other homes where there's been a fire and you've had to deal with this?
I think we have.
State
My
Line Road.
recollection is yes.
Mr. Watkins,
That one was even more of
there was
Well, I'm-
flammable.
a this.
I know of a duplex up off of Poindexter that burned a year or so ago. And of course, the owner had insurance, but the insurance didn't cover demolition. So the city made him tear it down, which he did promptly. Could be the same issue here.
State Line Road took way too long for us to demo that, clean it up.
We've had a couple, I mean, we got, in the years, this is year 6, I mean, I'd have to look back, but I think there's some we've had to institute emergency.
Right. So it's not uncommon.
But perhaps it may have just been emergency securing of a property. This one, that last page is rather telling.
I don't know how you secure that.
Right, I mean, I don't know that you do.
Fence it off, that's it. The only way you could is to fence it.
Given the weather that we're experiencing these days and what you see there. This body finds that based upon the testimony and the photographs stated differently, all the evidence submitted here, that there is a emergency situation and you can move under 13-310 for immediate demolition of the property, or the structure, excuse me.
How long of a, well, of course, it goes back to the question, how much of a notification will we need to give the property owner, but just in good faith, to say, hey, it's coming down.
Well,
On the,
general, I mean, under 13-313, that you've got the 10-day appeal period to give them, which question is, does that apply to the emergency ones here? But,
How about we just post it, condemned and secure the property and give them 10 days to get a hold of the owners, at which time, if that's not feasible, we have an emergency meeting and we just have it tore down. That, give them time to come up with an answer. There's no good way of doing this. That might be the best way to do it. If the owner does, she will, they won't go to the next meeting. Just a thought.
Can you put that in a motion?
Make a motion, we post the property condemned and secure the property and give codes 10 days to have communication with the owners to find out the answers of insurance and do they want us to tear it down or them, because it is a danger to the community. Yes, and we'll have an emergency meeting after the 10 days.
look at us.
Somewhere around,
Unless they're satisfactory.
Yes, if they come back and say we're having it tore down, we shouldn't have to have a meeting. That's really what our whole problem is here.
So it'll be the end of June, or, you know, if we have to, you know, the 26th or so. They could have a, you know, bulldozer on its way next week, but I doubt it. If we have a motion,
So you wanna call it the 26th, is that what y'all looking at?
yeah, it's 10 days.
Second the motion.
We have a motion and a second.
Vice Chairperson Ezell, Commissioner Lance,
Yes.
Commissioner Cheryl,
yes.
Commissioner Souter,
Yes.
Chairperson Davis.
Yes. Okay. Next is recap, 1646 Keeble Street. This is an update in progress from last month's meeting about the cleanup on that property.
It's still a work in progress.
But there's improvement.
Has been. I did try to, so I've been going back and forth down Keeble, just kind of looking, the fence has been open. I did try to call them yesterday to get a better update and also remind them about being here. I left a message. They did not return the call, so.
That's not gonna be a cleanup that's gonna happen overnight. Or in the next month or so.
And unfortunately, I don't necessarily have the resources to offer them to help.
By chance, did you reach out to neighbors?
I was going to, and I've been meaning to. I haven't yet. I don't know. Do you think that's something that would help just because of what all is back there?
During the cleanup, have you, I mean, this has been going on for a day. Have you seen any new debris?
No, I have not saw new debris.
Okay.
Everything's coming out. I do know that sanitation, there was, I guess, miscommunication on that end. So I had to fix that because they were being told they couldn't dump. And I was like, whoa, like that wasn't the agreement I had with the sanitation supervisor. So we got that resolved. But like I said, unfortunately, because of the amount of stuff and because we still have to operate the whole city, they can only go once a week. So it's difficult for them to move faster whenever we can't get them
When
in more.
they can only go once a week, how big of a load can they take?
I think that they allow them to take the full, like, truck bed full of stuff and a trailer.
I think it would be great if we could.
Any idea how much it's left? I mean, they hide it pretty good. I mean, I have to look above a wooden fence just to see it, so.
What I could see the other day.
I recall a lot of it was like cardboard boxes and,
It's a load of stuff. You gotta imagine, like, when I first saw it, it was probably, like, as tall as me back there. And then you've got a lot of square footage to cover that they,
Half the size of this room.
yeah,
It's larger.
Well, they found a boat, didn't they?
they found, I don't know what they,
Trailer covered
yeah.
okay.
Well, other than giving them time to continue cleaning, what else? I mean,
I'll get with Neighbors Helping Neighbors tomorrow and see if that's something that they will help with. Just like I said, I didn't know we did stuff, and nobody really knows what all is back there.
What are you gonna do
and-
with it once you get it out of there? You know, if you can only take a truck and a trailer to the dump.
What does it cost to take a load to the landfill these days? Not over here, but take it to the landfill.
Oh, I don't know.
or get a dumpster.
Yes, large.
I know that they had that in the beginning when we first put them on notice of it. But something about, I don't remember how much they said they had to pay for it, but it was, I mean, a pretty penny for a big dumpster. And financially, they just couldn't keep doing that, renting that. So that's why they switched to taking it to the dump when they could, when they were allowed to, doing the best that they can financially. So that's a question I'll have to just kind of sit down and talk about with, I don't know on that one, how to really.
Um, I'm brainstorming here. I think reaching out to neighbors is probably one of the best first steps, because there could be somebody in that group that may have ideas on additional resources. Maybe local churches, that kind of thing, groups that can potentially also help. They may have resources, so.
Outside of contacting the neighbors, they're moving along, but
Right,
how long do we wait?
Not much longer.
right.
I have a common theme tonight.
I like it. Plus summer, wet, mosquitoes,
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Rodents, and everything else.
garbage. It's not a good recipe.
Especially if that's cardboard and,
Yeah. It's been there for I don't know how many years before, but still. It can, to me, it can become a risk to the neighbors and the community, and that's why we're getting them to clean it up, but, yeah.
Do you know of a company that would give you a quote, give the city a quote to go clean it up? Does it have to be hazmat, right?
I think so.
Companies like Junk King will do it, but you're talking thousands.
My
for-
demolition guy can do that too.
Yeah. It would be,
That's what they did for State Line.
yeah. It can be quite a bit. Okay, in the event that the city were to do that, have a company go out, would a lien just be put on the property for them?
whatever the cost is that Rick would charge the city to do the cleanup, yes, he would bill us, and then essentially we would front that bill, but then we would send that bill to Litchford's office and have them place it at the lien.
Is that something that we could possibly consider if they don't get a plan in the next 30 days, that maybe the city take over and say, hey, we'll have someone come do it for you? And that way, it's not continuing and becoming a risk.
So it can't be $25 a dump pickup truck load of landfill,
Yeah.
so versus somebody coming and doing it. But
Okay.
I would suggest we give them one more meeting, and then, I think we'll be pretty lenient as it is.
Huh. Okay, anybody got a motion?
We did agree to give them time, but it's kind of stalled. And I know the city was an issue over here, but Mr. Ezel's right. I mean, you can go, they can haul it to Birchwood
I agree.
or wherever.
Okay.
All right, we'll make a motion to pass 1646 Keble Street to the July 10th meeting.
Second.
Do we want to?
Hold on just a second. Is
Hold
that
on.
just simply pass it for now?
Because,
and
I
then-
mean, there's no sense of putting stipulations on it. The stipulations are gonna come after the July 10th meeting.
Well, could we ask for them to be here in that July the 10th meeting?
Oh, they already have, yeah.
Yeah, they need to see what's gonna happen to them.
Okay.
So, if you want me to word it again, motion to pass 1646 Keble Street to July 10th meeting and have owners show up for the meeting.
Have we ever seen the owners here
Yes.
for the hearing? Okay.
Yeah.
Let's get a second on Mr. Ezel's modification.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second.
Vice Chairperson Ezell? Commissioner Lance?
Yes.
Commissioner Sherrill?
Yes.
Commissioner Souter?
Yes.
Chairperson Davis?
Yes. Next item is 1604 Glowmont Drive. This is the process, an update on the progress and the structural engineer's report that we have been given.
So Courtney is not here tonight. Her little girl is sick, and I told her that I would just give the update on her behalf, and then get with them tomorrow with y'all's findings as well. So you guys have the structural engineer report. I've gone over the structural engineer's report, just to hit some of the highlights on it. Basically, they recommend having a stormwater analysis still performed just to help find effective strategies for reducing the foundation's exposure to the excessive water. They recommended infilling the foundation vents with blocks and sealing the crawl space, and then also removing some of the interior finishes to expose that framework so you can really see how much it has, I guess, undergone or how much water damage it's undergone. With that being said, I did get with the street department Tuesday of this week. I went out and talked with the street supervisor just about the drainage ditches, trying to see what he would recommend to do. I think we're all kind of in the same conclusion with what need to be done. I did have them weedy and clean around one of the grates that's closer to the road if you're looking at the property on the left side. And then on the right side, it's clear. We didn't see any debris. But he was in the same conclusion with me. If they would clean out the grass that I've already told them to 5 million times, it would help flow that water back to that grate. But also, it probably needs to be dug out a little more because they haven't maintained it in years and years. So now it's kind of grown up. And when it's more level instead of deep per run, what do you
They
expect?
as the street department, or they
No.
as the property owner?
Property owners.
Okay.
Street department, the only thing that the street department will touch is anything at the road. They will do that. If it is on their private property, it is the property owner's responsibility to maintain that.
There's not an easement there.
No easement, not that we could see on the plats.
Okay.
So when they were out with the gravel, They weren't necessarily making repairs. They were putting a tarp down in the crawl space to help try to keep that water out of there and or I guess collect it. And I'm assuming what I could see, we're using the gravel to I guess hold it down in placement down there. And they had the some of the floors up, so I saw the joists because obviously that's the only way to really get under there. So I did tell them to leave those exposed so that we can get in there. I sent Trey, he's over I guess maintenance with the property. And also Courtney, I responded back, went over the structural engineer's report, and also told them what I kind of wanted to see. And then I need to get with her tomorrow, and I'm going to go over the whole drainage thing yet again and see if they can cut that out for me, because I feel like personally that will help what I could see. And then also we need to get inside with the structural members exposed to really see how much water damage it's undergone. And I also need to see bids and quotes because I don't know what it's going to cost. And I'm not trying to waste their time. I'm not trying to waste our time. If it's going to be more than 50% of that total building value, we need to just cut ties.
The trench initially they were talking about putting in to help divert, has any of that been done?
They've cut the grass essentially in a sense on some portion of it, but no, from what I could tell, I did not see any of that. And at one point in time, it was, well, their equipment couldn't get back there, it'd get stuck because it was wet. I get that, but it's been dry. And I went back there, and I wasn't deep in mud. So why have we not taken that advantage to do that?
Immediately, yesterday. Because if that's not done, the rest of this is just a waste of our time.
I also did tell them, when they were putting that stuff in the crawl space yesterday, the day before, I did tell Courtney and Zach, though, I said, y'all need to hold off because the vents, they're not above grade. So you doing all this stuff in the crawl space is not going to help you because those vents still aren't above grade. So you're wasting your time and your money. So I haven't heard back from them on that just yet. And ever since I went out and talked to them, I have not saw anybody else over there. I don't know, maybe somebody was out today, but.
That's one of my concerns with the report. They further recommend that another specialist, a building envelope specialist. You're spending all this time and money and you're not getting anywhere. We still don't know what the recommendation is. They may not have a recommendation.
And the idea they had last month was just their own drawing and an idea of how to divert the water, yet they have still not completed what they set out, they said they were gonna do last month in terms of the landscape of the property and the grading. So that's concerning. So how can we stress the importance of that getting done first to prevent any further damage to the surrounding properties?
So I deal with Courtney a lot with not only with just this one, just with other ones in general. She's even told me before that they tell the owner what we're expecting, what we're wanting to see, but the owner kind of slowly goes about doing it or doesn't put that initiative behind it. So what I can do tomorrow is whatever you guys decide, I'll take what I also took from this and from Michael and from Chris and tell Courtney we need to sit down and discuss this, and I need y'all to do this like ASAP. I'm talking by the end of next week.
The stormwater survey, whatnot, is a great idea, but
That's money.
yeah, well, that also doesn't compensate for the fact they haven't done what they said their plan was to do. I think it may have been 2 months ago when they came in and it was written out on a piece of notebook paper. So,
At what point did water become an issue on this property? I know you've mentioned having history there.
Yes, well, water's always been a big issue there, in the past probably 10 years. And what has happened is even, I guess when I might've got serious about having somebody go look at it, they find that also too that the plumbing underneath was open, so everything was draining under the house. Besides the water, and the water has nowhere to go. It just sits there like a lake underneath it. And now they put a pump to try to get some of it out, but it's a long history of water underneath that duplex. That's why I can't understand, even in the report, I believe it states the floor to which they seen was rotten.
From the bathroom.
2x4, the stud wall that they seen, the one, was rotten. So I'm not sure how much we gotta knock out to make everybody say, oh, okay, there's good, so we're gonna build it back. There's gotta be a stop here sooner or later.
Has there been any construction around this property, behind it, beside it?
They have built up around that property because this started as an issue, you said years ago, didn't they? The previous owners possibly
Oh, no,
backfilled?
back when the water issue started, first thing they did was brought in two tandem dump truck loads of dirt and sloped it off the side of it, put it on everybody else.
Gotcha.
Yep, that's a fact, you can still see the dirt, plus the other pile that didn't move, it's still sitting there.
Gotcha.
I have a hard time suggesting things to do for it because of the house that's behind it happens to belong to my mother, so
Right.
I kinda just
Yeah.
go along and whatever y'all decide. I don't want to be the person to say, well, the reason why he's doing this, I don't want to
Understandable.
interfere with this. But it's like anything else. It's an owner apparently that I guess thinks they can do it the way they want to, and so they're just gonna stall. I don't think it can be fixed, just because I've probably looked at it a few times. I mean, there's nothing illegal about me looking at the neighbor's house.
Well, again, my concern with the report is it suggests other reports, basically.
And all that money, does that not go towards the 50% of the value that they're spending just to find out if it can be fixed?
Whatever it's gonna cost. So so I already pulled the property card too. The building value is 82,600. So when I look at that, whatever you give me with your scope of what it's gonna cost to make those repairs, that's what I base that off of.
And is that just for the structure repair, or what about the trenching that needs to be done? Okay,
Sad part about it is if we sit here and say we need 3 bids of what it costs to fix it, they can't do that till they remove the sheetrock to find out what's gotta be fixed.
Right, you got it.
So we're kinda in a rock and a hard spot here with them taking their time to do as they choose. I don't know legally what we are allowed to do to speed up the process, but I know a guy to my right who can probably answer that.
When's the last time they were present here?
this month? And she's just the property manager
Yeah.
though, so really her hands are tied to a certain extent. She's just a representative reporting what they say they will and will not potentially maybe do.
Well, I guess I have a little concern. I mean, I look at this property, and it's a duplex, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I look at it.
I believe she said it's been vacant since November.
The guy that lived, if you're looking at it from the street, the left side, I believe, would be considered A, I guess. You go up the street. Irregardless, the left-hand side, I talked to him back many moons ago. Because he was walking through the water in the driveway, through the water on the sidewalk to get to the front door. There was no way around it. It was a lake. He had to walk through it if he wanted to go in his house. And I talked to him for a little bit, and he had told me, his words, that they came in and repaired the kitchen floor because it kind of sunk. They just put one over the top of it, and it's so much lower than what the original was, but it does have a floor over the top of it. So, it's just things like that I don't see how that could even fly right there. I would think all of that would have to come out.
I won't know until I look at it. All I've seen is just the bathrooms. And then the joist that I did see, I definitely could tell, and again, I mean, they span so far, like, I need to see the whole thing, not just a portion. But closer to the front of the house, I didn't see as much rot as I did in the back of the house, if that makes sense, on the one unit that I went in. So,
We're just a few days away from this report being a month old. So they've had the information.
now, I will say this. Part of that is my fault. Actually, it really isn't. I don't know what happened. They did send it to me as soon as they got it. My email never notified me. It never came through. Like, I went through my spam, went through everything, because I texted Courtney last week and was like, hey, did y'all ever get the structural engineer's report? You know, we have housing commission coming up. She was like, yeah, Zach sent that over to you on whatever date she said to me. And then she was like, and he followed up with you too. I said, Courtney, I never got that. I really didn't. I don't know what happened. So as soon as she got that, I immediately like went over it, which was, last week, beginning of this week. So,
Point being, she had it, so the owners had it
yes.
for almost a month now.
So if I read it right, the structural engineer, he's the one that wants to see the, behind the sheet rock, is that correct?
That, them, and then also us too, because that's gonna help us identify how bad your framework really is.
Since we had this, by chance, have we set up a date to be able to see that?
I just emailed her that. Whenever I saw that that's what they wanted, I emailed her that too, and I said, we need to set a time that I can come in when you've got some sheetrock off, other than me looking at the bathroom that I can obviously tell is rotted, to see the rest of the house. So I haven't heard anything yet. I'm not for sure, but I'll ask her tomorrow when I call her.
So is it conceivable, because I'm thinking of both issues. We've got two issues with this property, not only the structure, but also the water runoff issue. Is it conceivable to, let them know we have got to see progress on the trenching and the ditching to make the water run properly before our next meeting? And then in addition, time for them to look at the structure, because just to case scenario, in the event they go in and see that it's a loss, that doesn't correct the trenching issue.
Right.
And, so it's almost like we need to take care of both.
Right. That's what, when I talked to Michael about it as well, that's what we kind of came to the conclusion too, is I don't want you, again, the vents are so below grade and the water hasn't been mitigated. So you put all this effort into your crawl space to, okay, yeah, we're going to secure it and make it to where the water's not coming in, but you're still not fixing that issue and your vents are still below grade and you're still going to have issues with your foundation. It's going to fail.
My worry is that it will be too much to save, and it'll be demoed, and that trenching won't be done. By then, it's gonna be rainy season again, and all of it's gonna be for naught. That's my fear.
Looking forward, just hypothetically, if the structure was not on the property, is that property buildable?
Technically, yes.
So the city would let you build another structure there, but they would surely require some kind of stormwater plan.
Or grading.
Essentially,
Retention, water retention, water
something, yes.
runoff, something.
Yes.
Back in the early days, you never had the issue. I mean, the ditch was pretty, like I said, we used to run and do belly flops in the ditch when it was raining, because that was the coolest slide there was. And the water came down from state line, like I told y'all before, it would come down and turn and goes out, and that eventually goes to Spring Creek. So the water, it always did have a way to get out. Just over the years, all the wash down is filling everything up, and therefore it's just backing up into the other properties. That's really what the whole scenario is, and that's why they're getting the water underneath the duplex, because it has nowhere to go anymore. It just floods.
Right.
And they did take time, for some reason, to cut all the trees off the fence.
I didn't
Lost
understand
them.
that
I
either.
thought it was too wet to get back there, but
I didn't understand that either.
Okay.
This is
Mr.
the-
Litchfield.
This is the owners that are at least registered in Colorado, right? So. And you've got an assessed value of $47,000.
Look at the building value.
I'm sorry,
82.6.
did I look at it wrong? Up, I looked at the bottom number. No, it's the total, I'm sorry, 82, excuse me. You're right. So you got 82,000, and we can't seem to get any answers as to what the cost is for repair, because we can't.
I haven't asked because they're waiting on them, because that's what we wanted from them, and they don't necessarily know, because there's too much tied in to really figure out what's going on.
They haven't done anything about the trenching either.
Maybe we send another order with a little more bite in it.
Got the structural engineering report. There's efforts that can be taken that can help further the evaluations based upon what the structural engineering report is providing. I think the structure's sound, no one's in there, right? Is it secured? This body does not have enough information to make a determination as to whether it meets the threshold for demolition. I do think that the recommendation is, we've got structural in there, let's put a little bit, an order that puts action requirements on them. They've got to get the trenching in. They've got to get this water issue addressed. They need to appear next, the 10th, I think, of July, with the plan. With knowing that this body's probably going to order a water remediation effort within X number of days. If this body ultimately, again, I mean, if it ultimately determines that the repairs aren't being taken, the city has the option at that point, having given notice, that it can take remediation efforts to cure the property and bring it into compliance with whatever steps are needed. More than likely, that's going to draw some sort of a court order, the public appeal, but it gets them here. And we can push forward with judicial efforts. But that's all to say, I think if you want to, based upon the structural engineer, let's get a motion that requires them to take action so that that further repairs can be made. But they can't, they got the structural engineer. They can't just sit on it now and wait. I mean, you're going to have to take action.
Right.
For this report, in the motion that somebody makes, the structural engineer recommends the sheetrock be removed so he can see the walls.
Right.
And it don't take that long to take that sheetrock down, because he ain't being nice with it anyway. They should be able to take it down and get all this finalized before we come back here.
I agree. And the trenching. Because to me, that's number one.
I agree.
Then we're gonna come back to another question, is when they take all the sheetrock off, and structural engineer says all of these walls, or half of the walls, have to be replaced. Okay, then we're gonna have to say, okay, now you gotta have a bid, so now we're gonna be putting off another one. We need some way to come up with a way to find out what it's gonna cost to repair it. But to do that, you gotta have the sheetrock off.
And I think even in the structural engineer's report too, it said that they don't need to see all of the sheetrock off, just portion of it to get a good idea to see how much of the framing members have sustained water damage.
Actually, they do recommend removing
Of
all of
all.
it in order to expose the structural frame if it's feasible.
That's right.
Guys, if you follow that recommendation, now you're in a code issue. Now you gotta bring it up to code.
And that structure was built when?
Probably
1950.
59 or 60.
1964.
It's hard. Okay.
Keep in mind back then too, we had ditches all the way down the road, so they weren't filled in.
Now sometimes, and we run into this in our trade, they'll cut the sheetrock up to 2 feet. Because they say the flood line is, 12 to 18 inches. Because the stud's gonna rot next to the floor seal anyway, first. So that may be something that they would be satisfied with, I don't know. But if they do take the sheetrock off all the way around and the ceiling, it has to be brought up to today's code, right?
Yes and no. If whatever they're doing is gonna exceed 30% of that building value, yes, everything has to be brought up to code. Now, there's a house right now that they're working on, and it's just portions of it that we're having to look at. And even though we see things that aren't up to code, that's not the scope that they're doing. So it's hard to try to, explain that. Yes, they have to, if they're removing something, yes, they have to, whatever they're doing has to be to code. Yes, you're right. But it doesn't mean the entire thing unless their entire scope is going to exceed 30% of that 86,000.
Okay. I think we're saying the same thing, sort of, kinda. If they take the sheetrock off of this wall and not this one, then yes, we don't touch this one.
Right.
If you strip this house to the studs, it's supposed to be brought back up to
Oh,
code.
yeah, then yes. If we're going all the way down to your studs,
They're
yes.
asking for, right?
That's what it says.
Yes.
So it's something to consider. I mean, before you do that, before you make them strip it down, now you're way gonna be pushing the
Right.
envelope.
He threw the if in there to allow
Yeah, right.
to do sample areas.
Well, with your recommendation to see some of this, some action, could we also include that she did bring a plan in here for drainage, but they haven't implemented it yet? So could we include that?
I think that's.
That's
I
the
think
main.
That's what I understood when you asked
Right.
earlier, yeah.
The original should be done immediately.
Absolutely. Because again, it could be
And
all
that's why we agreed to work with them.
Last month, I remember specifically because there were storms coming in, that there was the stress of it being too wet for the machines to get back there, but they've had ample opportunity
Yeah, that
in
ship
the
has
last couple of
sailed.
weeks. So is it fair to request that that be done before the next meeting? Yes, that's it. That needs to be done before the next meeting, and the walls exposed for viewing. At least
Like I said,
cause of this could be taken, yeah, the cause of all this
have
could
to
be
have
taken
sample
care of.
areas picked up around the whole thing according to this. And like he said, they can do 2 foot above the baseboard and see joints and everything.
And from underneath, you should be able to look up and tell where your problem areas are potentially gonna be as well.
I mean, like crawl under.
In the
Yeah,
water.
good luck.
Well, I thought they were putting plastic down.
No, it's not that there's water down there, but those crawl spaces are not what you think, I promise you.
I've been in a couple.
How are we gonna put
Yeah,
this in
this
a
was
motion?
crazy.
He's writing.
So that we can start getting something done.
All right. I think if you're looking to get some action, give, in equal parts to give them time, but also to try to see some movement between now, that any motion would want to include passage to July 10th. In the meantime, they must commence and complete drainage repair per the, what do you want to call this?
Schematic,
Do we remember what they called this that they brought into us?
Plan.
Drainage plan.
drainage plan.
Per the drainage plan, and what we'll do is we'll attach
Yeah.
to the order. Commissioner Sewell, if I can keep this.
I believe they brought that in last month, or was the month before
As
last.
well as on or before, well, by July 10, they need to have engineering report updated to address engineers' findings of interior studs behind sheet rock. All right, no, behind sheet rock. I'm writing this down. So the 3 elements of the order would want to include passing this to July 10, with owners present. They have to not only commence but complete the drainage repair per the plan provided by the owners at, what meeting did they provide this? During the May, or was it April?
I think it was April.
Pause, one concern is that the structural engineer did put off that they need a stormwater analysis performed in order to produce effective strategies for reducing the water. So is that an issue with us saying they need to commence their plan if?
That's just their recommendation.
Okay,
They submitted this as to what they stated needed to be
Okay.
performed relative to
It was a May 8th.
May 8th.
yeah, 6 months
So,
ago.
May 8th. So they submitted this as their plan for remediating the drainage issues on the property. They have to implement this and complete it on or before July 10.
Okay.
And they have to provide an updated engineering report that provides the engineer's findings of the inspection relative to the interior studs that are behind the sheet rock. Those are the elements that need to be included in the motion.
Can we also add to that to have a recommendation from a building envelope specialist?
Sure.
That's part of the structural engineer's recommendation.
And I'll need to get a copy of the engineer's report. All right. Yes. All right, so that'll be the fourth element to this motion.
Yes, sir. I would make that motion.
All right. So,
It's wordy. Very wordy.
all right, so Commissioner Souter, what I think I understand is, the motion is pass this to July 10 in order that the owners be present for the show cause hearing. Between now and the July 10 hearing, the owners must commence and complete the drainage repair per the drainage plan that was submitted on May 8th and provided by the owners, that they must complete an updated engineering report that provides for the engineer's findings relative to the interior studs that are behind the sheet rock as referenced in the May 17, 2024 structural engineering report. And they must submit Mr. Souter, here it is. They must have completed a building envelope specialist inspection as identified in the structural engineering report.
Correct.
All on or before July 10th.
On or before, it needs to be submitted by July 10.
July 10th.
Okay, we have a motion.
Second.
Vice Chairperson Ezell, Commissioner Lance,
Yes.
Commissioner Sherrill,
Yes.
Commissioner Souter,
Yes.
Chairperson Davis.
Yes. Next item is 4310 Greenbrier Road, up-dam progress from May 8th. This was the fire, right?
Real easy. It's demolished and it can be let go out of here.
Okay. Can we get a motion to dismiss?
I make a motion to dismiss the 4320 Greenbrier Road.
We have a motion and a second.
Vice Chairperson Ezell, Commissioner Lance,
Yes.
Commissioner Sherrill,
Yes.
Commissioner Souter,
Yes.
Chairperson Davis.
Yes. Next item is 2115 Eldridge Road. That one was in process of possibly being sold. Okay. Okay, and so the new owners
Yes.
going on with that.
What property are you with? Oh, okay. I thought you were a new owner for this one. Okay. Going back to Elledge then. So the plan, I talked to Mr. Martinez, he's the new owner. They just purchased that. His plan is to rehab that house. He is aware that it is in condemnation and that they have to fix everything on the list before it can be brought out of condemnation and out of housing commission. He did not know everything that was listed, like they were kind of vague with it when the realtors gave that. He knows, but he didn't know exactly. So with that being said, I sent that over to him yesterday, I believe, so he has that via email, and then I told him also that he needs to get building permits pulled, and then we can kind of go from there, so,
Should we just pass this one another month?
give him, I'd say at least 30 days to get going, and
Okay. Need a motion?
Should we pass it till August? How long will it take him to get permits to get set up to start?
I don't know. I don't know much about him. I know that like they just kind of took over that whole role, because I had to reach out to the previous owner to ask about it, and he kind of put me in contact. So from my
Obviously, he's gonna be under your microscope because inspections are your department.
that and yes, me being residential, I'll be out there.
August 14th.
I'd make a motion to pass it to 14th of August.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to pass 2115 Eldridge Road to August 14th.
Vice Chairperson Ezell, Commissioner Lance,
Yes.
Commissioner Carroll,
Yes.
Commissioner Souter,
Yes.
Chairperson Davis.
Yes.
Sorry.
Okay. 1029 South Seminole Drive, update progress after the bankruptcy court hearing.
So they approved our motion to move forward with demolition. Per our city attorney's instructions, they did want to give them 31 days just in case to appeal. And that time is up on Tuesday. So if it is not down on Tuesday before we get there, my demolition team will be out there Tuesday morning.
So actually, there is no further motions to be made at this board.
No more action.
Except for pass it to July 10th. Is that correct?
Just keep it on the agenda for the next one, pass it to that for an update. Yep. And we've updated, the attorney was there, but we told the attorney there is no action, it's set for demolition.
Make a motion that on 1029 South Seminole that it be passed to July 10th.
Second.
We have a motion and a second on 1029 South Seminole to pass.
Vice Chairperson Ezell, Commissioner Lance, Commissioner Sherrill,
Yes.
Commissioner Souter,
Yes.
Chairperson Davis.
Yes. Last on the list is 4802 Madonna Avenue. This is a progress from August 10th meeting regarding the attorney being appointed as administrator of state for hopefully listing the property for sale.
Sold, new buyers have taken over and permits have been pulled with our office. So repairs have started, I would say, since the day when permits were approved.
So,
There's no further action potentially.
the question would be, I know it was discussed last meeting about that, and all the damage and all, would it fit in the criteria of less than 50% of the value?
I say yes. When we looked in the roof attic, or in the attic, I guess, and looking at the roof, just your rafters, your span joists, everything, you've got small little places where the leaks were, where obviously the water ran down into the walls, and that's why some of those walls have been damaged. Honestly, the biggest part that took the biggest hit in that house is probably the bathroom and kitchen, which, to be honest with you, it's just the roof and then just your floor because it's been rotted out. I think that the repairs can be made within that scope and not exceed that 50%, just because the walls that did receive that damage, you've got to take down maybe 2 sheets of sheetrock, maybe fix some of that structural members underneath, just your framework, and then re-sheetrock it. It was nothing too intense that I didn't think that they could fix.
The permits have been pulled, so those would have to be satisfied with your inspections anyway prior to it being.
I will go out for every
Okay.
single one.
So is there any reason why it needs to stay on this board since they're throwing?
Or no, sir.
No.
Okay. awesome. You get a motion to dismiss?
Move that 4802 Madonna Avenue be dismissed.
We have a motion and second to dismiss.
Vice Chairperson Ezell, Commissioner Lance,
Yes.
Commissioner Sherrill,
Yes.
Commissioner Souter,
Yes.
Chairperson Davis.
Yes. At this time, are there any additional comments, correspondence from the board, questions, communication?
I have a bad memory all of a sudden. Where were we with State Line? Is it in litigation?
Yes. Yeah, it's, the hearing is
All right.
late, middle of July is when the court set it, yeah.
We've essentially been wood off one or two of the windows, but I'll drop back around and double check.
No, you're right. Yeah, I've had to get with Mr. Litchford on that.
Oh.
So we're down to 4 properties now?
I got plenty more I can bring, don't worry.
After the next meeting, maybe 3, if we get,
I got more I can send you.
Rolls right now.
Okay. I'm just trying to think. If we could, anybody reach out to neighbors on Keeble,
I'll do it tomorrow.
that's like heavy on my heart. That just, I really feel for that family, because they're not in good health. Sounds easy. If there's nothing else, we can adjourn. Great, thank you.
did you ever know Curtis Adams?
Yes. Well, not personally.